Hello, I'm EG and this is Crocheting with EG, and in this video I'm going to be showing the Christmas tree bag that I made for my mom and how I did it in sort of a tutorial style, and I just think it turned out so nice, and she loved it. I'll talk more about it at the end after the tutorial part, you know, her reaction and all that kind of stuff, but I just think it turned out really nice. It's the one that's inspired by the pattern that I made of the candy corn bag, and I said in that video what I thought I could do is I could make the same pattern except do it upside down and make the candy corn look like a Christmas tree, and so that's what I did. And the handles are supposed to look like candy canes, and I'm really happy with it. And so I'm gonna get on to the tutorial, and then at the end I'll talk more about you know, my mom's reaction and just like a final assessment of like the bag. I'm really proud of it. It's just so pretty and it's sparkly, and I love Christmas. It's such a huge part of our family. And so I'll show you how I made this bag, and then I'll talk about it at the end. Okay, for this tutorial you're going to need a 7mm crochet hook, and then the yarns that you're going to use, of course these aren't the exact yarns that you have to use. You can mix and match whatever kinds you want. For the tree itself, you're going to need a dark green and a lighter green and a variegated skein. And make sure you use a variegated skein, because this is supposed to mimic the lights on the tree and the ornaments and stuff. And so make sure you use a variegated yarn that has short color changes. And by that I mean you can pull out a piece this big and see how many colors you can see. And if you pull out a piece like this, you know, a foot or two, and it's just the same color, the color changes aren't short enough. So the kind I'm using for this is the Loops and Threads Soft Classic in the color Fiesta Multi. You can use the Candy Stick Stash from I Love This Yarn. You can use Big Twists, Arcade Party. You know, just make sure that it's a yarn that has short color changes if you want it to create that effect where the tree looks decorated with lights and stuff. So these are the three that I'm going to be using at the same time for the tree itself. And you will need some black for the outside of the panels. There are going to be 4 panels, so you're going to need black for the outside. And then the 2 side panels, you're going to need black for those 2. And you're going to be tripling up this black, which I'll show you in the tutorial. But you're going to need at least a skein and a little bit more of the black. The rest of them, you just need like 1 skein of each, because you're not going to use the entire skein. But you are going to need a skein and a little bit more of the black. One of these that's like, you know, 355 yards, like a standard skein of the black. And this is like all the medium 4-weight yarn. And to make the tree part extra sparkly, I found this sequin thread. It's like this. It's like a metallic strand of thread. This is from Hobby Lobby. But if you can't find this, or if you don't have this, and you're just using yarn from your stash, you don't have to go buy something specific like this. But you do have, like, let's say a green with a metallic strand in it. You could use that too. It's just to add some extra sparkle to the tree itself. So I'm going to be mixing this in too. So for the tree part itself, I'm going to be using 3 strands of yarn, and then the metallic strand too. So I'm going to be crocheting with all 4 of those together. And I'm also going to add a little star to the top of the tree on the front and the back. And so I'm going to be using 3 strands together. I have this like silver metallic, and then this white metallic with a silver strand in it, and this kind of creamy metallic with a gold strand in it. And of course you can substitute any colors that you want. I'm not going to be showing you how to do the star because I used another tutorial, but I'm going to link to the tutorial for the star. I already did one, so I can show you what it looks like. I used someone else's tutorial for the little star, so I'll link to her tutorial. And then for the handles of the bag, I'm going to be using this white with the silver strand, and then I'm going to be mixing it with this red metallic. This is like Red Heart Super Save or whatever, to kind of allude to candy canes. And so the bag is going to have the Christmas tree on the front and the back with the little star on the top, and then the strap's going to kind of mimic like candy canes and stuff. So those are the yarns that I'm using and all that kind of stuff. And so let me show you this. This is the little, I don't do it as detailed as this when I crochet, but I did this, you know, just for this video. But if you want, I'll try to zoom in. This is like the pattern, and what I do is I create little boxes, like when I'm having to count rows or stitches and rows or all that kind of stuff. I create little boxes like this, and I put a little check mark by them. So I made this detailed page for all the check marks and stuff for the whole bag. If you want to take a screenshot of this and write this out. And so it just shows you like how many chains you're supposed to do, and then the specific rows and stuff. And right here, the blocks are separated into 4, because that can be like for 1 panel and the 2nd panel and the 3rd and the 4th. So that's why these are separated out the way they are. So like this part of the pattern, it says 3 rows. So when you're on the first panel, there's your 3 rows. And so when you do a row, you just put a little check mark there, a little X or whatever in the little boxes. It'll help you keep track of like what row you're on and what you need to go to next. So this is the pattern, and so you can write this down. Just, you know, pause your video and write it down. And then down at the bottom it just says, you know, 1 row of single crochet in black, because that's going to be for the border. And then there's going to be a bottom panel for the very bottom of the bag too. And so there's that part of the pattern too. Okay, so now to get started, it's a chain 26. And so you have to create a slip knot with all 3 of these yarns plus the metallic strand, or whatever yarns that you want to use. Now, if you've never worked with multiple strands of yarn at the same time before, it's basically the same thing. You just have to make sure you hold the tension right so that the strands stay together. When you pull a stitch through, sometimes you might miss one of the strands, and you'll have to pull that stitch out and redo it. You just have to be a little bit more careful than you would be with just one strand, because you might accidentally, when you're pulling the yarn through, just grab like 2 of them instead of all 4, or 3 with the metallic strand or whatever. So you just have to kind of act like it's one strand, even though it's 4 separate strands. So then you do the slip knot. You just hold all 4 of them together, and then you do the slip knot the way you normally do. And then put the slip knot on your hook. And then you chain 26. So 1, 2. Sometimes you have to crochet just a little bit slower than you normally do to make sure you get all of the strands. 3, 4, and okay, I'm at 15. And another thing about this metallic strand is it does kind of curl up just a little bit. Just make sure you keep checking this strand to make sure it doesn't get too curled up, because if it kind of bunches up like this, you might pull it through here, and then once you get the work going, then you're going to notice that there's going to be a piece of yarn kind of sticking out of your work like that, where it kind of bunched up on itself. Okay, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. See how that is right there? See, that can happen. So you just have to make sure that stay straight. 26. So if you chain 26, you'll have enough chains to do a row of 25 single crochets across here. And so you're going to do 3 rows of 25 single crochets, just like it says in the pattern. So 3 rows of 25 single crochets. And so you're going to be focusing on here for this very first panel. So I'm going to assume that you already know how to do a single crochet, but I'll just show you. So not this loop, you skip this first one right here, and then you go into this chain right here, and then you yarn over, pull up a loop, or 4 technically, and then you yarn over and then pull through all 8 of those, or all 2. So that's your first single crochet. So you're going to be doing that all across in every one of the chains until you get to the very end. That's 2 and 3, and I'm just going to keep going all the way to the end, and then I'll meet you at the end of the first row. Okay, I'm at the end of the first row. I just have one more stitch to do. Okay, and then of course at the end you always chain 1 and then turn your work. So because I'm doing the first panel, I'm going to be focusing on here. So 3 rows of 25 single crochets. So I did 1. I just put a little X there. And so now I need to do 2 more rows of the 25 single crochets. And then I'll show you how to do the first decrease row. Okay, I finished the 3 rows of the single crochet, the 25 single crochets, and so now this is going to be the first decrease row, and you're going to do this the same way for every decrease row. So instead of doing the single crochets in every single stitch like you did in the first 3 rows, you're going to do a decrease on the ends of each row. So that's just taking 2 stitches and making them into 1. So you go into that first stitch here, and you pull up a loop, and instead of finishing this and making that 1 single crochet, you go into the next stitch 2, and then you pull up a loop, and so then you have 3 loops, or it's technically like 12, but you just have the 3 loops on your hook, or the 12 if you want to count every strand, and then you yarn over and then you pull through all 3 of those. Just kind of gently pull it through there, because you might snag the yarn when you do it. So then you pull those all through there, and then so that's your decrease. And so you took the 2 stitches in this 3rd row, and then you made it into 1. And so you're going to do that on the very end too. And so as you decrease, it's going to bring in the work like this and create the point. So you're going to do the decrease rows, and then you're going to do the regular rows of single crochet according to the pattern. So I'm going to go down this row right here, do the single crochets, and then when there's 2 stitches left, then that's when you do another decrease. You bring those 2 stitches together. So you just carry on with your regular single crochets. And I'll meet you at the very end of this row. Okay, I'm at the end of the decrease row, and see there's 2 stitches left, and so you're going to do another decrease. So you put your hook in there, and then you pull up a loop, or 4 technically, and then instead of yarning over and finishing this single crochet, you go into the next loop or the last loop. You always have to kind of wiggle it, especially when you have all these strands of yarn. Kind of wiggle it in there, and then you yarn over and pull those through, and then you have those 3 on your hook, or 12, and then you yarn over and then you pull this through all of those to create the decrease, and then you chain 1 like you normally do, and flip your work, and see how it's starting to come in a little bit. And so from this point on, make sure you keep track of your rows. And so we did the decrease row, 25 single crochets to 23 single crochets. And so did that one. And so now you're going to do 2 rows of single crochets, this right here, and then you're going to do another decrease row, and then 2 rows of single crochets, and then a decrease row, and then on and on and on until you get to the end of the pattern. It's just that's the same thing over and over again. You did a decrease row, and then you're going to do 2 rows of single crochet, and then you're going to do another decrease row, and then 2 more rows of single crochets, and then another decrease row, and on and on. So just keep following that pattern, and I'll meet you at the end when you've done your last 2 rows, and they'll have 3 single crochets in each one. And then I'll show you how to attach the black yarn to do the border around it, and then that'll be the end of this first panel. Okay, I'm here at the end, and I just need to do 1 more row with 3 single crochets. Do that. Alright, so that's done. Okay, so then you yarn over and pull that through to fasten off. Cut all of these. Okay. Alright, so that part's done. And then you just need to do the black border. I'll attach that. And to do the black, I'll show you the triple up method. It's a really cool trick, because you want to do the black border in 3 strands too. If you have 3 skeins of black, you can do the 3 strands the same way that you did the other yarns. But I'm going to show you the triple up method, which is a lot easier. So what you do is, look at this, is you pull out a piece of yarn, your black yarn, and then you lay it out in the shape of an S. Here's your end, and then you bring the piece of yarn around like this, sort of like the shape of an S. See the S? And you want it to be like a little bit elongated like this, because you're going to be making your slip knot with this. Okay, so then you grab the end right here, and then you grab this curve right here, so that you have the 2 pieces of yarn together, and then the piece like that, and so you pull that like that, and so you do the slip knot like you normally do with all 3 strands, just to kind of act like it's one piece. Okay, And so you have your slip knot. And so if you're looking at it, you're thinking, okay, well, it's tripled up here, but then once you get to this point, it goes back to one piece again. So that's where the other really cool trick comes in. So I'll just show you this by itself, but then we still need to attach it to the tree to do the border. I'm just showing you the triple up method. So zoom in just a little bit. So let's say you're doing one of the black panels and you're doing your normal chain, and you're using all 3 strands, but when you get to this point you think, okay, there's 3 strands, but then this loop is getting shorter and shorter, and once you get to that loop it's just going to go back to one piece again. So this is where you take the loop that's right here, and then you reach in through the loop and you pull that one piece of yarn through like that, and then you kind of take your fingers and bring it together. And then see, it's going to look a little odd right here, but it's you just have to crochet with it like as if it's 3 strands, and then you can keep going. You know, you get to this point, and then see how if you keep going, you're gonna run out of the yarn. It's gonna go back to 1 strand. You just reach through the loop again, and then you just pull the piece of yarn through, and then you pull it together, and then you just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then every time you get to the point where you need more, you just reach through the loop and pull the piece of yarn through. Okay, I put the black yarn on my hook the way that I showed you with the triple up method, and so just kind of pull out just slightly, because you need to pull your hook out, because you're going to attach this to the tree here and then do the border around it. So just go in underneath where your last stitch was, where you fastened off, and then put the black yarn back on your hook. Make sure you put all 3 strands on there, or all 3 loops, and then just tighten it a little bit. And then you pull this through here, through this stitch, and then you yarn over with all 3 of those pieces of yarn, and then you pull this through here. That just attaches it to your work. Now you have the black yarn attached. Now you're going to be doing the border, and when you do the rows this way, or the bottom, it's going to be easier to see where to go into. But when you go down the sides, you just have to kind of feel for where to go. You're going to be doing a row of single crochet, black all the way around it. But see, up here you pretty much know where to go. You go in the same place as if you were doing another row. And then when you get to the corners here, make sure you put 2 extra single crochets in the same stitch, because that'll help the yarn go around the curves without it bunching up. So you just go into that same stitch and do another single crochet, and I see how I'm reaching the very end, so I need to pull my yarn through again. Okay, so I did 2 single crochets in that stitch, so I'm going to do 1 more, and that'll just help the edge there, help the yarn go around those curves by doing 2 extras in each stitch. And then now you're going to be going down the side here, and of course it's not going to be as easy to see where to go into, because when you crocheted the base of it, you went this way, and so you just have to kind of find the places to go into. There's no perfect place to go into. You just have to kind of feel for it. If you do a single crochet in one and you think, oh, there's too much of a gap here between this single crochet and the next one, then you just pull that out, and then you redo it and make the stitches a little closer to each other. Or if they're too close and they kind of bunch up or whatever, then just pull them out and space them out a little bit easier. You'll get kind of a feel for like where to go. What I like to do is, there are certain areas where you'll go into it and you'll think, okay, well, the natural place to go into is like right here. You'll just find a place. So there'll be, when I'm going down the side, there is like a small hole, and then there's this bigger hole. And so you can go into the bigger hole here, and then there'll be like a smaller hole here that you can kind of wiggle into. And one of the great things about this, by going into these bigger areas here, you're sort of bringing the stitch into the work a little more than you would in the smaller holes. And it works really well, especially with this Christmas tree, because the edge here, like right now the edge is kind of clean, but by making the border here, you may be looking at it and thinking, okay, the edge looks kind of jagged here, but it actually adds to the effect of it being a Christmas tree, how it kind of goes back and forth like that. So I actually like the to pull my yarn through. I actually like the look of going a little bit deeper into it with making the Christmas tree, because it actually adds to the edges of it, the look of it. So you just have to do the border all the way around it, and just kind of have a feel for it. See, like right here, you could go further up, but see, if you go a little bit deeper into the work like this, it kind of brings that black into it and adds that kind of jagged look to the Christmas tree. See, like that, where it sort of looks like the branches of the Christmas tree. It's a really cool thing. So basically that's all you're doing. You're doing a row of single crochet in the black all the way around, making sure to do 3 single crochets in each corner just to help it go around the curves. And then when you get back to here, then you just fasten off. And then of course you'll have to weave in the ends. So I'm just going to do the row of single crochet all the way around here, and then this panel will be done. Okay, I'm here at the end, and I just need to do one more single crochet in this corner. Okay. And then you yarn over and pull through, fasten off. Okay. Alright, so that panel is done, other than weaving in your ends. And of course you just take your yarn needle, and then I've tried, and in the past when I've done the triple up method for things, I've tried to take all 3 and put them in the yarn needle and pull it through don't do that, you're going to get frustrated, because it is harder to weave in these 3 strands at the same time. So you may get away with doing 2 at the same time, but you are going to have to take each strand and put them on your needle, and then just kind of weave them in. And of course you have to weave in all the other ones too when you made the Christmas tree part. And so you have to weave in all your ends on the end too, the other side too. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you know how to weave in your ends. Just kind of go into the yarn, kind of go back and forth, and bring your yarn in. Just back and forth a few times, just until you think that your yarn is secure in there. And you pull that out, and then you snip this piece off. And then you're going to do that with all the ends, just to weave in all your ends. And then that panel will be done. And when you get to an end that looks like this, where the loop is still on there from when you use the triple up method, you can just take your scissors and separate it, just to make it easier to weave in. So I'm going to weave in my ends, and then I'll talk about what the next steps are. Alright, I weaved in my ends, and so that panel is done. So I trimmed off all the ends. And so this is the first panel. So to do the bag, you have to have 2 of these. So do one exactly the same way. And then you need 2 black ones. So just use that triple up method and make this exactly the same way, except you're going to be using black throughout the entire thing. And still do the border around it too, because you want all the panels to be the same exact size. And then once you do all 4 panels and weave in all your ends and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have to do a panel for the bottom. All it is you chain 31 and you do 4 rows of single crochet, so 30 single crochets in each row. And so you'll have the 4 panels like this, the 2 that look like the Christmas tree, and then 2 that are just black for the sides. And then you're going to have a bottom panel too, and then I'll show you how to sew it all together. Okay, I have all 4 of my panels and the bottom panel. This is what the bottom panel looks like. It's just 4 rows of single crochet. So that's what the little bottom panel looks like. It's just to add a little bit of a bottom to the bag. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be laying them out and sewing them together. And you only need 1 strand of black yarn to do this. And because I did the black border around each panel, you don't really have to be precise about it. You don't have to, there are all kinds of methods where you, when you're seaming things together like granny squares or whatever, and you have to make sure that your seams don't show or whatever. Because they're all, this is black, the black panels are completely black, and then of course the ones that look like the Christmas trees, they have black around the edge. Because they all are lined in black, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to sew them together, and it's not going to matter exactly how you do it. So the way that you're going to lay them out is, so this is going to be the front of the bag. Just pick one panel that's going to be the front, and then you take the black, and instead of it being this way, you flip them like that. Move the little stars. Oh, and with the stars, make sure you don't have to leave all these. I need to weave in these ends too, but not all of them. Make sure you leave a little bit of an end because we're going to be attaching the stars to the top of the Christmas tree. I'm going to sew the 4 panels together before I attach the stars to these, so that because if I attach them now, then it'll be kind of hard to see like where to attach the panels together. So I'm going to add the stars before I sew it all together. So you're going to lay out your panels like this. So pick one for the front, and then you'll have this one for one of the sides, and then you'll have the other black one for the other side, and then you'll have the other Christmas tree like this. And so that'll be for the back. And the way that it's going to fold, once you attach the seams here, all of these together, and then attach the bottom seam to the bottom of the front like this, and then I'll show you how to do that once we get to that point. But once these are all seamed together, then the way it's going to work is down the middle of this is where it's folded. So like imagine that this is the back. So imagine this is going to be folded like this once it's all folded together, and then this is going to be folded like this, so you can get a kind of visual idea of what it's going to look like. And so this is going to be the top of the bag, and then this is going to be the bottom of the bag, and then of course the other panel is going to be on the back like this. And so that's going to be where your opening is here once it's all seamed together. So that's how it's going to be folded together. So just lay it out like that. Take your yarn needle, take a piece of black yarn, so thread your yarn needle with the black yarn, and then you just go to the top of one of these panels and the bottom corner of one of these panels, and then just go into here and go into the other one, just going into the black like that. Pull it through. Pull a good length. At least you'll have to change the piece of yarn for each seam. So just make sure that you pull enough yarn through here that'll be enough to sew down the seam here. So cut that, and then on the end here, make a little knot like that. That'll keep the yarn in place and attached. And of course you'll have more ends to weave into. And then you just take your yarn and then you just sew up the seams. And like I said, you don't have to be perfect about it because each panel has black on the edges, and so you just have to seam it up. And then kind of go, when you have a long piece of yarn like this, make sure that you kind of go a little bit slowly so that it doesn't get all bunched up or whatever, or knotted up. And so you just kind of go along and sew it together like that. So you're just going to sew up the seam, and then when you get down to one of the ends, then just make sure that, like let's say you're at the end here, then before you bring the loop all the way through, then you go through this loop again, and that'll add a little bit of a knot to the bottom so that your seams don't come out. But you're just going to be sewing it up. See how it's coming together? And so you're just going to be seaming up all the seams. And then I'll show you how to attach the bottom, and then we'll attach the stars at this point. Once the 4 panels and the bottom panel are attached, we'll add the stars, and then I'll show you how to fold it up and sew it together. Okay, I've sewn all the panels together, and so you should have something that looks like this. See all the panels I got. So you can kind of fold it up at this point and get sort of an idea of what it's going to look like. So if you line up the Christmas trees like this, and see, once you sew up this seam, which you're not going to do yet, it'll be like this, and so that'll be what the bag looks like. And then that'll be the top, and then you'll sew the bottom on this this panel here, and then that'll be like the small panel on the bottom, and then we're going to add the strap to the top. And I did a little swatch to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. So here's the white metallic yarn with some red metallic yarn in it. It kind of mimics candy canes in a way with the white and red. And so that'll be up here. It's going to be a lot bigger than this, of course, but I just did a little swatch just to see. Okay. And the first star is done. And so I'm going to attach the second star off camera. So I'm going to do it the same exact way. Make sure you do them both on the same side so that when you fold it together, it'll be on the outside of the bag. So I'm going to attach the star, but I'm also going to attach the bottom to the bag. And you can wait until the bag is sewn together to attach the bottom. I'm just going to attach the bottom panel to the one side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up here, and I'll use stitch markers or whatever to make sure that I attach it in the proper place. But you want it centered here so that when you fold up the bag, it's going to be like this. And then once you sew the whole bag together, then you can attach these edges to the bottom of the bag. But I'm going to go ahead and attach this to just this one side right here. So I'm going to attach the second star, and then I'm going to attach this, just the same way that you seamed up the bag. So I'm going to sew this seam here, and then I'm going to attach the other star too. And then I'll show you how to do the final seam on the side of the panel, and then attaching the bottom here. And then we'll add the handles, and then it'll be done. Okay, I attached the other star, and then I attached the bottom to the one side, and then I left a long tail so that I can use that to attach the other edges when I fold it all up. And so from this point on, I'm just going to flip it over so I can do the final seam. And so see, if you fold it over that way like that and line it up, then this is the seam that you have to do to finish the bag. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a piece of black yarn and finish this last seam, and then I'll show you how to do the handles. So just attach another piece of black yarn to do this final seam here. Together. And of course, you'll have to weave in some of these ends too at the end, like that one right there. Okay, and so I'm just gonna take this piece of black yarn and do this seam right here down to the bottom, and then once that seam is done, then I'll take that other piece of yarn, and then I'll go around the edges of the bottom to sew that on. Okay, I attached the seam, and I weaved in this end here at the bottom. Just weave that in a little bit after I was done with that seam. And so I'm going to trim that off. So that's done. And of course I need to weave in an end up here too. But now I'm going to take this end that I left when I attached the bottom to the one side, and then I'm going to sew up the bottom here. So I'm going to take this here, and then I'm going to sew it up here so that it creates the bottom of the bag. And then once I weave in all the ends, then I'll do the handles, and then it'll be done. Okay, it's all attached, and the bottom is attached too, all the way around. And so what I did was I took some stitch markers, and you can kind of estimate it. If you want the handles to be further apart, if you want to use like straps, like of course you can adjust this however you want. But you just kind of estimate that, like, oh, okay, this is sort of in the center, and if you do the handle here, it'll be about the right size, and then you just do it on the other side too, just to get the stitch markers lined up. And so then from this point on, you just attach the handles. And the way I did this was I took 2 strands of the red and 2 strands of the white, the metallic of each. And what I did was I took the outside strand and then the inside strand, And so I used like just one skein of the red and one skein of the white with the silver strand. And so with the outside end and the center pole of each one, that makes 4. So you just take each end. So there's the 2 white ends, and then the 2 red. And then you just take all 4 strands and do a slip knot with them. And then take your 7mm crochet hook and tighten that up just a little bit. And then you take one of the stitch markers out. Take your hook out of here. Just be careful. And when you put it back in, make sure that you get underneath all 4 strands. Just take your stitch marker out and then put your hook through the hole where your stitch marker was. And then you take this and then you put it through all 4 of those strands. Like that. And then pull this through here. And then you yarn over with all 4 strands and pull them through here. And that will attach that to the bag. And then the way I did the candy corn bag is I'd chain 31. Now, of course, I did that because of me and numbers and it being about Halloween. But it was a perfect size for the handles. So I just chain 31. 1. And by using 4 strands at once, it's going to make this handle a lot stronger. Okay, I chain 31. See, it's the perfect size for the strap. And so I chain 31, and you take the other stitch marker out on this one side. And of course you have to do 2 handles. Don't lose your hole though. And then you go into the hole where the stitch marker was. And then you're going to do a slip stitch to attach it to the bag. So yarn over, pull through, and then take this and pull it through the loops that are on your hook to slip stitch it to the bag. Like that. And then you yarn over and then pull through here. Just to fasten off. And then leave some ends to weave in. Okay. Right, so that's one handle done, and of course I have to weave in the ends, but that's one handle done. Then you just do the other thing on the other side. I'm going to do the other thing over here on this other side to make the matching handle. Okay, I have the 2 handles attached. I just need to weave in these ends, and then it'll be done. Okay, I weaved in my last ends, and it's all done. And if you actually watched to this point, I want to show you this. This is, my mom saw the progress of this, because I'm going to give this to my mom. And she wrote this note, and it says, "These are beautiful. I love you so much. XO, Mom." She leaves me little notes like that all the time. And her little hearts and everything. She has such pretty handwriting, too. So she loved it before she even saw it finished. So, all that's missing from this video is Christmas music playing in the background. I just love Christmas. I love this bag too. I hope you make yourself one too, because I'm really proud of this. It's really pretty. My mom's just gonna love it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed looking at how I made the Christmas bag. And I'm sorry about the star thing. I don't know why my camera didn't capture the, I must have not hit the button or something, or I don't know, but me sewing the stars onto the bag, all I did was I attached, like I said in the video on the screen, I just attached a piece of yarn after I weaved in the ends on the stars, and then I pulled it through here, and then I just kind of sewed it on there. And so hopefully you don't need a tutorial for that, but I don't know why my camera didn't capture that, but that pissed me off. I didn't realize it until you know, days later after I filmed the tutorial and I was in the editing process. I thought, where the hell did the video go? I even checked the file numbers and stuff, and there's no file that was skipped or anything. So I don't know. It just didn't capture that moment. I don't know why. But I'm just really happy with it. And my mom's reaction, she just loved it so much. And she saw the pieces of this before it was all sewn together and everything, and she left a little note for me. And I showed it at the end of the video. She loved watching the whole process, and so she saw the pieces of this before I sewed it all together or whatever. But then I got to surprise her with it, and she loved it. And so she loved my candy corn bag, but she really loved this because, like I said, Christmas is a really important holiday to our family, and I have my Christmas tree up literally all year. I never take it down. Well, I did take it down once because when you have a Christmas tree up, you know, all year for years, you have to take it down every couple of years to, you know, dust it. That was a whole process. You know, taking a Christmas tree down just to dust it, and then I'll put it back up. But I got to, you know, redecorate it. We just love Christmas. It's such a huge part of our family, and so this was even. I love the candy corn bag, but like this was way more special because we just love Christmas, and I love Christmas so much. And like the second I had that done, I thought, God, this is going to be perfect as a Christmas bag. And so I was already excited to make this, you know, as I was, you know, finishing up the candy corn bag. And so I'm just really happy with it. And I love how the tree does look like it's decorated with lights and stuff. I mean, all it is like a variegated skein of yarn mixed in with the green. And that metallic strain, of course, you know, adds a little bit of, you know, glitteriness and stuff. But, I mean, it's just so cool. I love this so much. And I love the handles and how they're, it's like candy canes. I don't know. I'm just really excited. I'm getting like some idiot, but whatever. I'm really excited about this and happy with it. And so I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you make one of these too. But if you make one, just let me know in the comments and how it turned out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and this video and looking at my beautiful Christmas bag. I just love it. I just love Christmas so much. And this bag is just gorgeous. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.